We're at Coastal Carolina University, and the beat goes on. Find out what it's all about coming up next on All American People. Good morning. Welcome to All American People. This morning we're at Wheelwright Auditorium on the campus of Coastal Carolina University. We're focused on this Sunday's Beach Music Hall of Fame induction ceremony to be held here at 6 p.m. And we're visiting with the president and the vice president of the Beach Music Hall of Fame Advisory Committee, Dino Thompson and Harry Turner. Good morning, Dino. Good morning, Harry. I love it. 8 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, the thrill. I mean, we're 100 hours away.
That's it.
A lot going on this Sunday.
Yeah, this weekend.
And a lot that has happened. And you said this weekend, so possibly even other things. A lot that's been happening leading up to just this weekend. I don't even know who to address first, albeit you're the, Harry Turner and Thompson, the THTU. I think we got to come to you, Dino.
You can start wherever you'd like. We can handle it.
This is very, to think a lot has happened. Of course, the last time we were together, Dino, we were at Cagney's, you and Dino Drozier's restaurant there on Restaurant Row, which was tremendous. One of the first times I'd been there in about a decade, and of course, the excitement of all the guests that were there that day, many of whom had not visited the building in many, many years, and just loved being in there. And of course, to hear you talk about the Beach Music Hall of Fame, the advisory board, and so many of the folks that are really working hard to make this weekend happen. It was very exciting. But for viewers who may have missed that interview, can you share with them a little bit about what's going on this weekend?
Well, Sunday at 6 o'clock, we're going to have our first Beach Music Hall of Fame induction here at Wheelwright. Harry and I and a great committee that we've worked with have worked about 8 months going through this a pretty interesting, intense voting process to find the 8 artists and the 10 songs.
Right.
Because there's a lot of absolutely worthy choices, and it was fun. We were kind of beating each other up over the choices, but we ended up with, I think, almost an unarguable slate of artists that are what we consider pioneers of what we call R&B and beach music.
R&B and beach music.
Absolutely, and the beauty of it is, even though internally, of course, you have your differences of which artist has this merit and so on down the line.
Right.
When we finally picked those 8, there was almost no argument at all. I mean, it was...
Really?
Oh yeah, the committee really saw the merits of each of the 8.
Right.
You got to start somewhere, and we're extremely well pleased with it.
You know, it's exciting. When we were there at Cagney's, we had Rose Rock, who's also on your board, on the advisory board, and to hear her talk about vetting those artists and the songs, it's a serious process.
Yes, it is.
Having all 18 of you vote on some of your favorite artists, some of your favorite songs, and to have to catalog that, I suspect there probably had to be some favorites of y'all that may not have made this year, but assume we may pull it in next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, once you look closely at their histories, it was just difficult to argue with some of these. We could have picked 1 or 2 more, but we only considered artists who recorded or released before 1955, so that eliminated a lot of beach music bands and artists that people like, but they just weren't eligible this time because we wanted to look back and sort of find the pioneers.
Right,
exactly.
Who and like I've said before, many of the artists today, whether you're into rap or rock or pop or hip hop,
or country.
Or country. Many of the artists that perform today are standing on the shoulders of these 8 artists that we've inducted. They were creatively on the threshold of taking jump blues and jazz and swing
and
boogie into something that we now call beach music and R&B. And that's why they're important. That's why they need to be remembered and rediscovered.
Yes, and rediscovered, and those are critical words, and only songs recorded before 1955.
Well, 55 and back.
Okay.
And now I'll give you a little insight. You asked, were there any disagreements? Certainly there were. And do you have any favorites? Well, yeah, one artist that certainly I favored overall, probably, even though I'm for all 8 we put in, was Fats Domino. I just felt that, of course, I've met Fats, know him, but I just felt he was such a force, and he was really my favorite artist as well. So he got a little prejudice in there too, I guess you'd say.
Right.
Dino, the same way, if you don't mind saying about it, Amos Milburn, and he has schooled me, believe it or not, in Amos Milburn now. Now I'm a tremendous Amos Milburn fan, thanks to this guy.
Thanks to Dino.
That's right.
We didn't know each other last year, so
No, we didn't.
we've gotten to be good friends
Yeah,
through
yeah.
this because we both love the genre and just love talking about old music, old artists, old times. And Harry's, he's got a radio background. And,
Right. Yeah.
and what's interesting, I grew up near the Pavilion. I'm a Myrtle Beach boy. He's a Greenville boy. He used to come to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
So we have
Right.
different takes
Yeah.
on,
Sure,
on the music. He came down here and got infected with the music, took it back.
Right.
We kind of grew up with it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting for us to share memories because we have probably a lot of the same tastes, but different takes on how we were exposed to
came
it.
about it, yeah.
And Amos Milburn and Fats Domino are not 2 of the 8 artists?
Yes, they are.
Oh, they are? Okay, great. Oh, excuse me. I thought you were saying those were 2 who didn't get there, but easily could have been, but the whole group of 18 wasn't on board.
Well, sometimes the way we sell an artist is make the board research them.
That's right. That's right.
If they weren't totally familiar, we'd say go back, and we were pulling up YouTube after YouTube after YouTube,
Right.
listening to hundreds and hundreds of songs. And then we were researching the impact of those songs, the importance of the songs, what was different. Like his artist, famous artist, Fats Domino. In 1949, his first song was "The Fat Man."
Ooh.
That was a song that was called the Junker Blues, and they changed the lyrics a little bit, and they put a backbeat to it, unusual at the time. And that backbeat and Fats's great boogie piano. It became a hit. His first song became a hit, and that song is studied by historians because it has some different elements in it. So
And
those are things we all talked about, looked into,
And to take it a step further, Fats Domino, when I got to learn about Amos Milburn, we would go back and look at YouTube videos together.
Yeah.
And Amos Milburn's piano playing and even the way he sat and sang into a microphone, his body language.
Yeah.
That's Fats. Fats's idol was Amos Milburn.
Oh, no.
So here we go. Yeah, true story. Yeah.
How exciting.
I happened to see I saw Fats once at the Beach Club, Myrtle Beach.
Right.
And he's seen him and knows him. I saw Amos Milburn when I was 12 at Charlie's Place, a black nightclub on Carver Street in Myrtle Beach, and I saw him when I was 14. And I just thought he was the coolest. I mean, if you want to see boogie piano, I mean, it's just exhilarating. I'd never seen anybody just rip it up like that. I mean, the piano was on fire. Little Richard was crazy when I saw him. He was playing the piano with his head and his elbows and his feet, but he can't play like Amos Milburn or Fats Domino.
Right.
So growing up and seeing some of these people infected it, but we have other great artists.
Well, we want to get into those, and you're about to pull something up to...
Well, I was just going to show you, this is the
Yes.
home page of the website under construction.
Okay, the under construction website, which I believe you said earlier, beachmusichof.com. So
Right.
viewers can go ahead and jot that down now, just knowing that in the future that site's going to launch, and that's going to be the front of the website.
And I will just name these. Big Joe Turner you might know him from Shake, Rattle, and Roll, Ruth Brown, The Drifters, Amos Milburn, Louis Jordan, Hank Ballard, The Clovers, Fats Domino.
I love it.
In 10 songs we're inducting. 10 indicative songs of the era before 1955, which were important songs, still popular. That's why they were considered, because they still have a power.
Well, let's leave that out here on the table just to jot that in just a second. But of course, these 10 songs didn't have to be performed by these 8 artists.
No, not necessarily.
There were some that were there.
Right. There is some overlap there, I see.
Two of the Clover songs and one of Fats Domino songs are being inducted, and one of Ruth Brown.
Yeah.
Right. Golly, the efforts to get into that, as you say, and of course the history of dance, just for viewers who may not be able to zoom in on that, great dance joints, history of dance, artists, songs, cool stuff. Send us a memory.
Yeah.
And music
Oh,
songs.
yeah,
Share with viewers about that. Send us a memory.
Well, here's the navigation buttons. You'll have artists, and you can hit Fats Domino. You'll go to a bio page.
Right.
It'll give you a 2-page bio. It'll give you 13, 14 songs you can play to listen to Fats, and you can do that on any of the artists.
Yep.
And you can
That's great.
hit Ain't That a Shame. You get a little bio page about the song,
Right.
and you can play the song. You'll have a photo of the actual 45 there. So it's a cool website. You can send us a memory. You can hit cool stuff, and there's about 31 pages that we put together of just what we think are cool anecdotal moments in music.
Well, like you just
Probably
said
some
about the Fat Man originally being
Right.
Junker Blues, and that kind of stuff.
Some of the stuff you'd pick up in This Magic Moment, musical
Well, yeah,
reflections
yeah,
of a
that's right.
generation,
Yeah,
Harry
that's right.
Turner's
You're
book.
right.
That's right.
I
That's
bet
right.
some of those pieces have come across to the website.
Oh yeah.
You know, things like Hank Ballard, he was a 16-year-old runaway working at a Ford assembly plant, and when the lead singer of the Royals was drafted, they were looking for another singer. Somebody told them that little kid on that assembly line can sing, so they pulled him off the line, and he had a love for, he had a handsome swagger, a strut, and a great songwriting ability, and kind of a tendency for raunchy lyrics. And he loved country music and Gene Autry, and all of a sudden he wrote Get It, became a hit.
Yep.
And from that day on, he was not only the lead singer, but he was the writer.
Right.
So now it was Hank Ballard and the Midnighters instead of the Royals. Those are the kind of little anecdotal things.
And also the same thing with Hank. He was the man that wrote and did the original version of the Twist.
Is that
Chubby
right?
Checker took it and copied it note for note, word for word. In fact, I knew Hank as well, and Hank told me one day, he said, Harry said, old Chubby said, man, he nailed it. He nailed every note, everything. Said, he even did my EOs. In the middle of the song, he said, EO, round and round.
That is
that
great.
song, The Twist, went
Yeah.
to #1 twice.
Twice.
No.
Only song ever.
Yeah. Hank Ballard was supposed to have been invited to Dick Clark to perform that, but Dick was wary of his lyrics.
Right.
But The Twist had no bad lyrics or no innuendos.
Right.
But he was still worried. But some disc jockey called him and says, "You got to see this song. Kids are into it. They're even dancing apart. They're not even holding each other. They've never
No.
seen
The
it."
first
Oh,
dance,
yeah.
the first
Yeah.
dance apart.
And
Right.
so Dick Clark was still a little worried of Hank Ballard, so he found a former chicken plucker from South Carolina, whose name was Ernest Evans.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And renamed him Chubby Checker.
After Fats Domino.
You are kidding.
And
Wow.
that song became
This will be in the cool
the
stuff.
biggest, the biggest,
exactly. Yeah.
It became the biggest dance craze since the Jitterbug and the Charleston and the Twist, and still is.
That is incredible. Let's
They-
leave that up here on the table since that's
Okay.
very special. Hopefully it'll jog
Oh,
some
yeah.
more thoughts there as we're thinking about it. Of course, a lot of folks want to know how you kicked off or what prompted kicking off the Beach Music Hall of Fame. But before we do that, just real quick, I want to make sure viewers know how they can get tickets, what the costs are, and even I believe the 349-2502 number here for Wheelwright Auditorium's box office. What the timing and just some basics here. What time is the event this Sunday?
Starts at 6 o'clock.
Okay, great.
It'll run about 2 hours. We will induct all 8 artists, all 10 songs.
Right.
We'll have the National Shag Dance Champion team that will be performing behind several songs
Great.
during the event. And we'll close out with some Coastal Carolina students
Oh, great.
that are going to be playing medleys of our kind of music.
Yes.
And it's going to be just super special.
That is wonderful. So
special.
viewers, if they showed up 5:30, 5:45,
Oh, yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
it being Sunday and graduation having occurred last Saturday, a lot of students won't be on campus,
Well,
so
that's
there should
true.
be
That's
ample
true.
parking available.
Oh, parking's no
So
problem.
getting out here, and of course folks can buy tickets at the door. I think you said it was
Yes.
$20 adults, $15 seniors, $5 for the students that are still in town.
Right.
You want to
Now-
get people out here and pack the house.
That's right. Now, during the ceremony itself, we've got 2 hosts. We've got Billy Scott,
Oh,
who you
great.
know, the
Yes.
great beach music legend, and of course, Diane Devon Stokes.
Oh, we love. Yeah.
Great MCs for us. And as we induct the artists and the songs, we're going to have videos, pictures, audio, all that combination, plus the dancers. So there'll be a lot of interactive video media going on at the same time. It's going to be very entertaining for
So
people.
and
Yeah,
the seating
unfortunately.
is open seating. I mean, so there's
Open.
not
Oh,
even
yeah.
reserved
Oh, yeah.
seating. So
Yeah.
viewers need to get here as early as possible. Get here at 5:15,
It's,
5:30.
And unfortunately, all the artists that we've inducted, only one member of the Clovers is a live original member, and Fats Domino, but he doesn't travel anymore. He's
No,
old,
he's
so
like-
it's not a show where the artists are going to be here singing. But we've created a show made up of great videos, and when we don't have a video, we'll have a little visual presentation and play the song.
Great.
So each artist will have a medley of 5, 6 songs that'll be played. It'll be fun and it'll be educational. And why is this music important, other than the nostalgia of it? Well, more than any law or judge or gavel that was brought down, this music brought the races together. When we went, Harry and I both went to dances. Sometimes we're in the balcony, sometimes blacks were in the balcony, but the music was so compelling, the backbeats were so driving, we all ended up
Came
together.
together.
So we jumped the rope or came down from the balconies. So it was extraordinarily important in bringing the races together, and still is. So that's one of the things I think that young people and other people that aren't exposed to it's not just a great music, it's also a lifestyle, and it's also a changing moment in history. The music helped to change, bring some good things
That's true.
to the country.
And it's good time. It makes you feel good. It's there's not much of that out there today. I mean,
Right.
and we're trying to get as much as possible to young people as well. Do you remember Reverend Joseph Lowery, the head of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference?
Just by name.
I became acquainted with him when I lived in Atlanta, and they do a thing called the Drummers event every year at the anniversary of Martin Luther King's assassination. I got involved because they wanted to honor Curtis Mayfield, who was a friend of mine and living at the time.
Right.
Brought the impressions in to perform and what have you. But to make a long story short, his wife is the one in charge of it. She pulled me aside one day. She was talking about this music. She said, "Harry, I really believe your music," she said, "your music," only because I had a radio show, did more to bring blacks and whites together than even did the freedom marches, and I was on those marches."
Wow.
Pretty strong stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
is. And
yeah,
of course,
yeah.
it's representative, and the group of the 18 of you, the advisory board here for the Beach Music Hall of Fame, there are folks of all the walks of life represented on the board.
We
You've
got the
really
best board.
A tremendous group. And
We've
of
got
course,
movers and shakers, doers, but they check their egos at the door. I mean, this is
it's an egoless board. We've had
it's
fun.
unbelievable.
We've had
That is
fun.
wonderful.
And
being
there's a
together.
depth of love for the music among all our board members.
yes.
They're
yes.
not just there for a name or for whatever. They're there because they care
Why
about it.
Wheelwright Auditorium? Why here at Coastal Carolina University? Why not something right down on the beach
All
near
right,
the
well,
pavilion or
let
in
me
North
tell you
Myrtle Beach?
let me tell you
What's the
how
significance
it
of the
happened.
coastal connection?
Well, number one, when you get involved with academia, you help take it a notch up. It gives
Right.
credibility. There's also a permanence to it because the university is going to be here.
Yes.
All right. Second thing, I'm going to give you an example. Dino and I have talked about this many times. Chuck Berry, one of, in my opinion, the greatest songwriter, rock and roll songwriter ever, and Dino pretty much agrees. The problem is his music was so much fun, a lot of people never heard those words. They didn't realize just how good and how creative he was. Now, where I'm coming from is academia then brings some of that seriousness and some of that credibility to something that is fun at the same time.
Yes. Yes.
And the way this thing came about, you were asking, Billy Alford, bless his heart. Billy and I have become friends, and I said, Billy, I'd like you to see this program that we do for school children throughout the states of North and South Carolina. So he set it up, and he had himself, the President Senzo,
Right.
the Cliff Ellis, the head basketball coach,
Yes.
and one or two other people that were there. We did a little presentation of the history lesson that I give. And then I brought in two entertainers, Caesar and Clay Brown,
Oh yeah.
who each sang a couple of 3 songs to tracks for them. And once it finished, I mean, they were at rapt attention.
Yes.
And Billy Alford looked up and he says, Harry, what do you think about education and this music? What do you think about a Hall of Fame? I said, I think it's a natural. And that is how the whole thing came about. And then they appointed, I was part of it, an exploratory board, if you want to say it that way.
Right.
To
Right.
look into the possibilities, and then once we made our recommendation to the president, then appointed through some of our recommendations to
Sure.
the board, the advisory board we have now, and it's been on ever since then.
That is tremendous.
Yeah,
Well, you mentioned the
yeah.
advisory board. I'm not going to put either of you on the spot by asking you to name these board members, but the two of you highlighting checking egos to the door. You highlight that you're just 2 of the 18, everyone that working together. I wanted to read out the names of the
Do it.
board
Yeah,
members.
do
You've
it.
got such a tremendous group of folks. Steve Bailey, who of course is
One of the great bass
totally
players in the
tied
world.
into
Oh,
Coastal
yeah,
Carolina, is a great bass player. Jason Cagle, Hilda Carter, Charles Dalton, Cliff Ellis. You mentioned Coach Cliff Ellis here, who's a superstar in and of himself, but also a musician.
That's right.
And a very good one at that. Celine Graham, Pat Howell, Kay Maddox, Eddie Ray, Dan O'Reilly, Rose Rock, who we mentioned earlier.
Which is the mother of Chris Rock, the
Exactly,
comedian.
that's right, yes. Billy Scott, who you also mentioned, Don Sloan, Bubber Snow, the former House member, very popular here in the state, Charles Stafford, Barry Thigpen, who we've seen recently.
Oh, yeah.
Yourself, Dino, Jack Thompson, the unofficial historian of Myrtle Beach,
Right.
and along with Dr. Hilda Carter, recipient of an honorary doctorate here at Coastal, yourself, Harry, and Bob Wood.
Of the Alabama Theater.
From the Alabama Theater, a magnificent group, all
is.
put together
It's a great
with
bunch.
a common a focus.
Let me
here.
give you a quick aside on one of our board members. His name is Eddie Ray. Eddie is an 82-year-old black man that's the head of the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame. But he was the first black executive of a major record company. He was with Imperial Records in the 50s and 60s during the heyday of Fats Domino and Ricky Nelson, the two biggest stars
Right.
on Imperial. He is an historian. He is extremely well respected.
Yes.
And he is so into what we're doing. He can't make every meeting living
Right.
in North Carolina.
Sure.
But
he's
it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Will Eddie be here this week?
Yes.
He's an adorable little man, and I love talking with him because, you know, when I mention Louis Jordan, he's seen him, and when I mention Amos Milburn, he knows him, and when I mention Hank Ballard, he knows him. Well, you know, he knows everybody. Harry knows most of these folks too, but
Well, not like Eddie.
But
No.
Eddie is just a wealth of information. He used to travel with Fats Domino, and I was asking him. I said, "What was that like traveling in that big pink Cadillac of Fax?" He had a big pink and white one, and he had a red one, and that's how they would travel. And he said, "Well, I used to meet him at every gig, but." I said, Fats says, "Come on, ride with us." He said, so about 2 weeks, I rode with Fats, and he said they were going about 85 miles an hour, and they were passing fried chicken back and forth and drinking out of a bottle of
Jack Daniels or
Jack
whatever.
Daniels, and he said going about 85. And he said after about 2 weeks of that, I said, I'll meet you at the next gig.
Your story's accurate except for one thing. It wasn't 2 weeks.
Well,
It was less than that.
yeah, he was out of there quickly. That is a hoot.
But you know, some of the folks that we've inducted, even the young folks that may kind of diss this music as
Right.
too old, passe. Like take Louis Jordan. He was recording in the 30s, 40s, 50s. He holds. he is the most. He has more #1 time than any artist in history.
Right.
Louis Jordan, he can rap with the baddest rappers of today if you listen to some of his songs. And he was fun. He was exhilarating.
Oh, yeah.
He was fun. Chuck Berry said about Louis Jordan, he said, the music was here long before Louis Jordan, but Louis Jordan was the first person I ever heard play rock and roll. So when you start
Wow, that's
dismissing some of these people, they're some of the people that rock and roll's founded on.
Yes.
Louis Jordan, Hank Ballard, Amos Milburn, Big Joe Turner, Shake, Rattle, and Roll. That
Oh, yeah.
that song was an enormous song. Now, Bill Haley and the Comets took it to the white stratosphere,
Right.
but Big Joe Turner created it.
I know you want to jump in, Harry.
Well,
I'm
no.
sorry we have run out of time.
Oh, you're
totally
kidding.
out of time. We're
Holy
absolutely out of time, but
cow,
I've got to
holy
say how
cow.
important it is with your encyclopedic memory and your tremendous association with music in general. Folks need to go online to YouTube and type in either of your names, either Dino Thompson from our interview at Cagney's, which was a special one that
Yeah.
folks can watch online, or Harry Turner when we were together back in 2007 over there on Grissom Parkway, and you shared for an hour some special pieces about Meach music. We've run out of time. Thank you all so much for your tremendous service.
No, it's a pleasure.
Keep
Well,
up
we
the great
appreciate
work.
it,
Look
buddy.
forward to seeing you this Sunday. Stay tuned for a little more All American People with Harry Turner and Dino Thompson coming up next. This is a tremendous mock-up. Take a look at this. If you can't read all the words on here, you can if you come out this Sunday to Wheelwright Auditorium. Come out early. The big event starts at 6 p.m., but if you get out here, you'll see all 10 of these hanging up in the lobby of Wheelwright Auditorium, where the Beach Music Hall of Fame will be housed for many, many years to come. Come celebrate these tremendous performers, these acts. Obviously, it's an audio and video explosion, along with the National Shag Dance Championship performers. But the real opportunity is to be here and be a part of celebrating beach music and all of these amazing performers, and the great board and all the volunteers that have made this happen. Dino Thompson, Harry Turner, thank you all again.